So the top paid language model providers are Google. Google has something called Gemini. OpenAI is what we will be mostly using in our course, and we have GPT 3.5, GPT 4. It's slightly older here, but we today, as we speak, we have higher versions of it. There's GPT 4 Omni, there is GPT 4.5, and further versions are there. GPT 5 is slated to also launch. Anthropic has Claude. Anthropic is also a paid provider, and Cohere has something called Command. These are typically the top four language model providers that you have. You can also add a few more to it. You can, of course, add XAI's Grok, which also became a sensation this year because Grok 3 model by Elon Musk's XAI company, it has also surpassed several, Gen AI benchmarks. And these are some of the open source language models that you will see. Again, it's a slightly older one, but this year we had the last few months have been very exciting because a lot of new players have got added. But Meta and Mistral have been, they have basically been some very standard names for a long time. So Meta is obviously the parent company of Facebook. Meta has a very, very popular series of language models called Llama, and Mistral AI is a company, and a very, very popular model is called Mistral. So these are both open source models. And what is the main advantage of using an open source model? Well, you can literally download it. You can download it in your system and you can run it locally. So the privacy concern will completely go away. If it is a very confidential data that you have in your enterprise, you can download the language model, and even without any internet access, even without any network access, you can still use that language model for any kind of task, summarization, generation, whatever. Because remember, using all these other closed source models, using a GPT model will involve sending data over a network, and which everybody may not be comfortable with generally. Okay, what are some other open source models? Well, we have DeepSeek. DeepSeek became very popular this year. We have Quen. Quen is from Alibaba. That's another very, very popular language model, and a few others. So these are some of the few other very, very popular additions. One of the most popular being DeepSeek. Okay, that took the world by storm early this year. Okay, so these are some of the open. So our focus will be mostly on the paid model. We'll focus mostly on GPT, but I'll show you ways in terms of how to use the open source models. Right? From a platform perspective, if you're looking to use one of these open source models, what we can do is we can use something called Ollama. So here you can look at how do we go and access the models now. So the paid models we will be accessing mostly using the user interface or using the Azure. So I can just quickly show you how it's done very briefly. If we look at ChatGPT, ChatGPT is not a developer's platform. Okay, everybody, please keep in mind that ChatGPT is not exactly a developer's platform. ChatGPT is just the end user interface. So the developers platform for OpenAI is something called platform.openai.com. Let me just take you there and I'll show you. So whatever ChatGPT that you're seeing right now, this is not a developer's platform. You don't have APIs and all that, right? This is just a normal place where you can write a query, get a response, just that. This is just an application that is built for consumers. But the actual developer platform for OpenAI is this. So this is how you access the models. So this is to talk about how you access these large language models, so to say, right? So when we talk about access, how do we access these closed source models? It is through these kinds of platforms. And now what you have to do is you have to go to the API section. So you can see that there are credits and all that you need to add, right? So if you just come all the way down, you can see there are models and all these things. You can go to profile, and if I go to my profile, so there are ways you can go and you can add a billing, you can add API keys. So all these kinds of things you can go and add. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. And if you quickly take a look at this one, you can observe the billing part here, and in the billing part you can add credits to it, and you can see the certain amount of credits you can go and add. and you can create an API. So this is my API section, and you can actually go and you have a way to create an API key. So this is a secret section. So you can go and create an API key, and then you can access your language models using the API key. So OpenAI also gives you an OpenAI playground. So this is the playground section, and you can see I can go back to the GPT-4, the GPT-4 one model. Okay, so we can go and we can take a simpler one. Let's say GPT-4 Omni, and now I can ask a question, and you can kind of hide this section, right? So this is the part where you can just go and hide. Okay. Okay, so we can just go and kind of hide this section, and usually what you will see is this part. So when we are using Chat GPT, we are usually seeing this part. This is the part that we are generally seeing, right? So I can go and ask the question, who is the current Prime Minister of India? Mind you, I'm accessing a paid model right now. And when I go and ask this question, this is the kind of interface that you see in ChatGPT. On the left-hand side, you see a lot of other things we will talk about. We'll come to those things later. What are system messages and all that? We'll come to that later. But this is the platform or the interface that we generally see from a customer perspective when we are using a GPT application, right? So if I just go and do this, the response will be this. So you ask a question, get an answer, and this is the way how you access the paid models. Now, as developers, are we going to do it this way? Are we going to have a user interface like this? No. So we will write code. And how does the code look like? For exactly the question I asked, the code looks somewhat like this. This is exactly what we will do in the rest of the section today, right? So we'll actually write prompts. So right now you see a simple Python piece of code, and this is how we make a API call to OpenAI, right? So we are making a simple API call. So the same thing that I did in the user interface, the corresponding code is what we saw. So here so there are three important things actually. So there are three important pieces that are involved in a prompt. So what we did here is a very, very basic prompt is what we wrote. And there are three very, very important pieces of a prompt you can see. One is we call it a user message. User message is basically the question that you're asking. This is the first question that you're asking. So the first thing is the user message. Uh, the second thing is the assistant response. So user message is the question that you're asking. So based on this question, based on whatever question you're asking, the assistant is giving a response. So this is the user message. This is the question that you're asking. And based on this question, this is the assistant response that you're getting back. So this is the assistant response that you're actually getting back. Assistant response is whatever the chatbot is responding or replying back to you. Okay. And there is something else called a system message, which I will talk about later. System message is usually used to control the behavior of the system overall. And if you want, you can also use it. So you can actually kind of go and say, maybe I can ask a different question. Okay, I can ask a different kind of a question. Okay, and if you want, you can have a completely different thing. Okay, so I can just go and ask a completely different question, and based on that, the model will respond in terms of kind of what to do. Okay, so I can just go and let's say uh, given a review, given a review, please analyze the sentiment, analyze the sentiment as positive or negative. If I go and write this is my system message. System message is again something that controls the overall behavior of your system. Now, mind you, these are things that you cannot do in chatgpt.com. This is platform OpenAI. This is a developer's playground. Okay, so this is where you can do some more fine tuning in terms of what you want to do. Okay, so system message is something that controls the overall behavior of your system. This is what controls the overall behavior of your chatbot. This is broadly what you want it to do. That is the system message, and and you can save it. So we can save it, right? So we can save it. I can just give it a name. The prompt. See, I'm saving the prompt actually. So click on save, and now what will happen is on the right hand side. Now I will simply give the input. Okay, I loved the food at the restaurant. At the restaurant, the crab was amazing. So if I go and ask this kind of if I go and write this statement, what will happen? Whatever as a user you write here, this is the interface that we will typically see in ChatGPT, right? We will not be seeing all this. System message is usually always hidden from the end users. The system message will always be hidden for the end users. We will not see the system message. So system message is what controls the overall behavior. That is done. What you enter as an end user is the user message. And now I will hit enter. And what you end up getting is the assistant response, which is positive. This is exactly what we expected. So can you see how the chatbot is working exactly what I wanted it to do? So this is what you will usually specify. I can ask another query. I can give it another question. Uh, the food was horrible. The food was horrible. If I ask this question, or if I specify the statement, and now if I do this, see the assistant will respond negative. Okay, you can see its auto clear is turned on. Its context is not getting saved. So I can see the food was amazing. If I go and ask this question, now the context is maintained actually. So you can see now it says positive. So if I go back to the code part, now we will get a better idea exactly what is happening. So can you see the chat completions API that we have here? So first, what we do, the code is very simple. So this is exactly what we will write in Python in some time. So from OpenAI, import OpenAI, client equal to OpenAI. Remember, very important, you have to set your API keys. Right? The only difference is we will not directly use OpenAI. We will rather use Azure OpenAI. That is the only difference. But the ideas are the same. Okay, so when I talk about accessing these language models, you can access a GPT-4 Omni model directly from OpenAI, or you can access the same GPT-4 Omni model through Azure. But the idea will be exactly the same as what we are seeing right now. You will instantiate a connection. You will do something like this: chat completions create. You will instantiate a connection to the client. Okay, you will give the model name, and then you will specify the entire prompt. This consists of the entire prompt within a square bracket. Okay, so this is the complete prompt template that we have here. Okay, so role system, and then you give the system message. Remember, this is exactly what I wrote, right? System is the system message. Role user, this is the user message. The food was horrible. And this is the assistant response we got, right? Remember, role assistant, and the assistant responded text is negative. And then we asked another user question, role user, and the food was amazing. And based on that, the assistant responded, uh, you know, uh, role assistant, the positive, text is positive. You can see this is exactly how it will happen. Then there are some other things that we will talk about later. So this is how you actually, call API. Just wanted to show this to you, but in code, it's going to be very simple. We'll see some demos as we go along. Lots of demos we will see, but this is just to show you exactly how we do this stuff. How do we do this stuff in practice? Okay, so this is just the OpenAI platform, and all the platforms will be like this. So I can open up Anthropic's Claude. Anthropic also has this. So all the platforms will be like this. Okay, if you go to Anthropic also has a developer platform. Okay, Anthropic also has a developer platform. So you can go to Cloud AI and you have a developer platform there also. Same way, you can also work with it. The interface and the API calls will be very, very similar. All the major language models they will have, you can see this is just like we have chatgpt.com. This is slightly less popular. This is slightly less popular, but you have something called cloud.ai. And this is using the Cloud Sonnet model. It's a very, very popular model. This uses something called Cloud Sonnet. You can see very similar. This is the other major provider of language models, Anthropic. Okay, so this is also the user interface. You see, there's nothing called system message, user message, nothing. This is the Cloud consumer platform. Normal customers will use. But similarly, Anthropic also has a developer platform. A developer platform where people can go and experiment with the stuff the same way that we are discussing. Okay, yeah. So Anthropic also has a kind of a developer platform. And I wanted to show you this is actually I mean, it's a bit of a different account I'm actually using, but I wanted to show you this is actually called console.anthropic. So the developer platform is console.anthropic. You have to buy credits for it. You cannot do it without credits. Okay, so you have got something called a workbench, something very similar that you will see. You'll have a workbench, just like in OpenAI developer, we have platform OpenAI Playground. Anthropic console, they call it a workbench. But the ideas will be very similar. Okay, you can write a system message, you can write a user message. See, the uh, excuse me, the general idea will be very, very similar. Because I can write a system message saying the same system message I can use, right? I cannot run it. I can just show you the general overview how it looks like. Okay, and I can give a user input, which is the food was horrible, and you can see I cannot run it because I don't have credits here right now. You can see this is how it will work out. The idea is the same. System message will control the overall behavior of the prompt, what the prompt is supposed to do. And the user message is whatever user is entering. And if you hit enter, on the right hand side, you will get the assistant response. Right now, we cannot do it. But if you see the get code, see the get code is exactly the same. So it doesn't really matter whether you're using OpenAI GPT model or Anthropic's Claude model. The general interface of making the API calls look very, very similar. Okay, you can see here also the general structure of the prompt is very, very similar. Messages, this is the main prompt. Okay, so inside messages is where you will see the main prompt within the square brackets. You can see role system, system message, and role user, user message. Here the system message is not mentioned explicitly, right? But you can see the API key has to be given, and you can basically copy paste this code, go to Python, and you can call it. Okay, yeah. All right. And the same way, I will, once we come to the section, I will show you how to do this in Azure. Okay, so this is just to kind of focus on this section. How do we go and access these models? So all the paid models we can either access through their own developer platforms, or we can, access them through the cloud platforms. And when we talk about the cloud platforms, the major cloud platforms we are discussing here are Azure. Obviously, within Azure, we will be able to exclusively access the OpenAI models. So all the OpenAI models are exclusively available within Azure. Okay, so within Azure, you will not have Anthropic. Within Azure, you will not be able to access other models. Similarly, Gemini, Google's Gemini models will be exclusively available within Google or Google Cloud. You will not be able to access Gemini models from Azure. Okay, and the same applies for other models also. So there are exclusive tie-ups. Okay, so just to summarize, OpenAI has tie-up with Azure. Google obviously is with GCP, and Anthropic is with AWS. So AWS is where you will exclusively get the Anthropic Claude models, but you cannot access OpenAI's GPT models from AWS. Okay, so this is just one other thing to keep in mind.